How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to News Daily. I'm here with Laurie. What are you saying, my guy?
I'm good, man. I'm honoured.
Oh, come on, man. The pleasure's all mine, my guy.
No, seriously, I love being on the show, and to be with you is a bonus, man.
Come on, man. Before we do get going, though, if you're part of Ultimate Fan, if you're involved in the game, there's a pack to open from Tuesday's pack drop, so make sure you do that. If you're not part of it, here's a little promo of it to run through.
Not playing Ultimate Fan? A mix between FBL and FIFA Ultimate Team? You need to get involved.
Each week there is a big prize pool to be won during all of the weekend Premier League matches.
Choose 7 cards from your maximum 24-man squad and let your players and team do the rest.
Claim your weekly pack drop, select your squad and rack up as many points as you can to be in with a chance of claiming a share of the prize.
And don't forget to subscribe and enhance your chance of being victorious with access to UF Plus, which outlines behind-the-scenes stats, most popular player picks, injury news and podcasts across the week.
There is also a free card to be won with Ultimate Fan Clash every single week, with all players entered into a mini league of 5 and the winner being awarded an additional card to add to their squad in the Tuesday pack drop.
Be sure to check out our Ultimate Fan squad selections every Wednesday on AFTV and see who we pick ahead of the upcoming game week.
You must be 18 plus to play and T&Cs apply. Head over to ultimatefan.com or click the link below for more details.
And we're back. So, Laurie, big news of the day. Well, I say big news of the day. It's not from Arteta, but it's from Scotland manager Steve Clarke. I want to just read out a little quote here. I'm sure a lot of you guys know already, but he goes to say, I think Kieran will be on the plane, and if he's on the plane, he'll be fit. They, Arsenal, are hopeful he could be involved this weekend, but if he gets a few days training in, then fine. We don't play until a week on Friday, so he has time on his side. I expect that Kieran will be fit, so he's nearing a return apparently.
That's good news.
Good news. A lot of the chat is discussing whether, you know, the return pushes Tavares out, or has Tavares done enough to, you know, keep Kieran Tierney on the bench for now.
You know what? I'm old school, bro, as you know, as you guys can see. And I kind of go by that adage, man, that you very rarely change a winning team, especially a winning team that played so well as it did last week.
Yeah, well, a couple of weeks in a row now.
Yeah, but especially last week.
Yeah, that Leicester away one was...
Actually, you know what? That is a good question. Which was the better performance?
Villa or Leicester?
I would say complete performance, I would say Villa.
Yeah.
But in terms of the overall perspective, who you're up against, the fact that you're away from home, then you'd probably say Leicester. But in any event, 2 excellent performances.
Yeah.
Tavares played well in both of those games.
Yeah.
Are you really going to say to the youth, look, you know, when you set this one up, I'm not sure if you can.
Yeah.
And surely the premise on which good teams are built is that you have competition for places. And if you're going to have realistic competition for places, and somebody who's out, and let's face it, it was unfortunate for Kieran Tierney. It's not like he got sent off or anything like that. It was unfortunate he was out. But Tavares is coming.
Yeah.
He's more than stepped up to the plate. Are you really going to say to him now you have to sit it out? I don't know.
Yeah, that's the
I
big...
guess that's why the manager gets paid so much money.
Listen, I agree with you in terms of you don't change a winning formula, a winning team, and not only the last couple of performances, but since the first international break and the 3 losses we had before then, we have improved, albeit results first, performances more recently. And I'm with you. I think as much as Tierney has come in, established himself, I say a bit injury prone, he's very injury prone. A future captain in my eyes, a potential captain. I think you can't really be dropping Tavares at the moment. I know someone in the chat, or a few people in the chat, mentioned that you can play both because Tavares is both-footed. But at the same time, we have Tomiyasu on the other side, so I'm very happy with him over there too. So
see, that would make Tomiyasu the 4 guy. If you do that, then basically what you're saying to Tomiyasu is, I'm too frightened to drop Tierney, so you become the 4 guy. That's not going to make Tomiyasu feel very good. But I'm going to throw something else into the picture, and I want you to keep it real, like you always do. I know you're a man, you're like me, you like to keep it real. I would also say, as well as Tavares has played, let's be honest, Kieran Tierney, and he has set some high standards for himself.
He has.
Has he lived up to those standards so far this season? So on merit, does he go back in? Not for me.
This season, definitely
me,
not.
bro.
This season, definitely not.
And listen, I always say, form is temporary, class is permanent. We've seen enough of Tierney now to know that he's a very good player. But he's not hit those levels or those heights that he did the season before.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So what I'm saying is, when you take that into the equation as well, you can't leave Tavares out for this game.
Yeah.
I mean, Tierney in time will get his place back at some point, I would imagine. But right now, for me, you got to keep the same team, bro.
I'd agree with you. This season, if I asked you or someone asked us to pick out a Kieran Tierney performance, it'd be hard to. But obviously, what we've seen over the first couple of years here, he's brought in a standard that we previously hadn't saw. A standard not only in the left back position, but I think in a character leadership way as well.
Absolutely.
And I haven't seen that yet from Tavares. I'm seeing good performances, but from Tierney we get good performances usually, but we also get that character, that leadership, that fight, that the grit that you need in this league from a few players in the squad if you want to go on to achieve things.
Yeah, I mean, Tierney's almost got that kind of cult status at the club now, isn't he? You know what I mean? He's come in there, no matter what the weather, the man's got the short sleeves on, you know what I mean? He seems a tough guy, you know what I mean? He's always there when it kicks off, he's all, you know what I mean? He's got that character that people like. Which I like. I'm a big fan of Tierney, so I don't want man in the comments coming after me and all that. I really appreciate the player. Like you said, not just for his playing ability, but he's a character, and you need those characters in the team. However, that being said, I also believe, as I said before, man, about the philosophy behind winning teams and competition for places. And to me, football is a meritocracy, meaning that if you come in and you play well, you should be given the opportunity to stake your claim in the team. Now, there are certain positions in that team. So, for example, and I know I'm going to sound slightly hypocritical here, slightly. Say Aubameyang was injured or got sent off or whatever. Say he missed a game, and say Balogun already come in and then they score a goal. That situation might be slightly more difficult for the manager because Aubameyang's proved himself over many years to be a top goal scorer, record goal scorer, captain, talisman, highest paid player, all the rest of it.
Yeah, there's a bit more behind
that
it.
Might be a bit more difficult. So, but I'm looking at this particular situation and I would say that if I'm the manager this weekend, I'm going to take Kieran Tierney to one side and say, listen, man, it's great to have you back. You know what I mean? You're still a valued member of my team. You probably will get minutes, but we're going to stick with the same team for at least the first half.
I guess it's understandable.
I'm sure Tierney will understand that, man. He's a big man.
He's a fighter.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure that'll motivate him to,
There you go. And that's where I talk about competition for places inspires players to play at their best levels because they know it's not a guarantee.
And a few people in the chat, one here from Rob says, I think Tierney has been carrying an underlying injury for a while, even when he's played, but his level has been slightly off this season so far, which might be the case. Obviously we've heavily relied upon him.
We have.
Across the last season, especially the last 6 months of last season when Kolasinac, we let him go and,
have we?
We let him go at that time. Now we have to let him go again. But, I think we've heavily relied on him. But there's also another chat here that says, where is it? Kieran Tierney too injury prone, but I'm glad with Tavares as a reliable backup. And I think that pretty much sums that whole situation up. I believe Tierney is too injury prone at the moment. I hope he can see past it, and I hope maybe Tavares being an adequate backup allows Tierney that time to rest. I'm interested to find out what Arteta has to say about Tierney. Maybe he has commented and I haven't seen it yet, but how he feels Steve Clarke's comments went down, because obviously Steve Clarke saying, listen, whether he plays on the weekend or not, we play a week on Friday, he's coming with us to Scotland. I'm not too sure how that will...
Yeah, when I saw that comment, I did kind of think that if I'm Mikel Arteta, I could feel that the Scottish manager's kind of undermining my position slightly there, somewhat. Do you not think that as well?
Yeah.
It's almost like you're telling me, well, listen, he's going to play for us, so...
I'm surprised.
You know what I mean? You could read into those comments what you will, but you could interpret it in that way.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to give Steve Clarke the benefit of the doubt. He probably wasn't doing that, but nevertheless, if you isolate those comments in the cold light of day, it could come across as like he's telling Arteta, listen, man, we're going to play him, so you better play him too. or he's ready. So, you know what I mean? If he could play for us, he'll play for us.
We'll see. We've got another chat here. You've put it in a couple times. We will read it, even in caps lock. Arsenal fans are the worst. They take a couple of games to turn on any player. Ridiculous comment. Thank you, Laurie. I'm glad you said it, because none of this conversation has been us turning on Tierney.
What's that guy's name?
Deep.
Hey, Deep, man, you're going in too deep, bro.
Yeah, you did. That's
it's like you got an agenda you're trying to pursue.
Yeah, the agenda's more over that side.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for the super chat, man, but come on, bro.
It wasn't even. It was just a normal comment.
Yeah, listen.
Thanks for the engagement.
Yeah,
but at the end of the day, listen, differentiate turning on someone to openly discussing a good thing. It's
We're being objective,
that Tavares and Tierney, our two left backs, were happy with. When's the last time we've been happy with two left backs at this club? Can you remember?
I clearly stated, I said, good teams are built on the premise that you should compete for your place. Yeah. As soon as you have too many positions in that team where one man feels that, you know what I mean, it's my God-given right to that position, then you have problems.
Yeah. And we have got a super chat from Elijah. He says, I love today's panel, or straight talkers.
Now what's that guy's name?
Elijah.
Elijah, big up Elijah.
Laurie's words resonates on this topic.
For real, bro.
Meritocracy, and that is the difference in British and the US approach to sport.
Listen, man, that's what they always tell you about the difference between sport and other genres in life. Now, I'm not saying that it's always that way, but one of the reasons when people play sports, what they said, that, listen, man, I'm just a kid from nowhere, and the opportunity that sport has given me has been that I wouldn't have had in other eras of my life. Yep. That's what it's supposed to represent.
Yep.
It's no different here, bro.
No, I completely agree with that. Like I said, I'm happy at the moment with our left back position. I haven't been as happy with that position since. At the moment, it's hard to think when the last time we had two left backs that I think would all be happy with either starting. Dare I say it, Clichy and Ashley Cole.
Yeah, man. For real.
Because I know we had Monreal for a few years that we was happy with, but we didn't ever have that backup. We had Kolasinac come in, it didn't really work out.
Hey, Deep, check it. Put it like this.
He has said he's not talking to us, he's more so talking to people in the comments. So he has reconfirmed.
But let me clarify this in another way then, yeah? Imagine if you have a scenario whereby you have every position. So even the goalkeeper, for example.
Yeah.
That's a prime one. Where you have the person that is not playing, but you know if you bring him into the team for whatever reason, quality.
Yeah.
That way, you know what I mean, you've got a better team.
Yeah, I mean, you want two people fighting.
Competition for places is vital
for any big side as well.
Yeah, especially a club like Arsenal, the size of it.
Because you've got to rely on.
We should be having that consistently throughout the team. Every weekend, the manager should be thinking, should I play him? Shall I play him?
Yeah.
We're up against this opponent. Yeah. Maybe he might be better in this. But you know what I mean? It's a good problem to have.
That's why next season already I can see, let's get an adequate backup for Tomiyasu and be happy with that position. If Saliba comes back, we've got Saliba, Gabriel and White. We've got three centre-backs that I think, would be happy with. And then you have the option of tucking in Tierney as a left centre-back and Tavares as a left wing-back if you want to, move it about a bit.
You know what, you bringing up Saliba there was an excellent point, because I was speaking about this with Cecil earlier in the week. Shout out to Cecil, by the way. And we were talking about the possibility of Saliba coming back. And I said on the show, and Cecil agreed with me, that Saliba coming back is great news, man. I mean, listen, the Ben White and Gabriel partnership looks solid.
Yeah.
We're all happy with it. But you imagine if Saliba comes back now, you've got a next quality guy.
Yeah.
Now, it's very possible that players can get injured, sent off, ill, COVID, whatever. If one of those two unfortunately drop out, you've got somebody coming in that can do a great job.
Yeah.
Even if he doesn't quite hit the levels of the previous incumbent, you've got no worries for that person coming in.
I agree. I mean,
that's what great teams are built on.
Like I mentioned with left backs, and the last time we've been happy with our two left backs, potentially we go into next season, and I say potentially loosely because a lot can change, as Ben White and Saliba are right centre-back options, and Gabriel and Pablo Marie are left centre-back options. 4 centre-backs where, Marie, recent times he hasn't had the performances that he's had, early on in his Arsenal career, where I think he showed character, leadership. He's slow, we know that, but I think he's a bit of Mertesacker where he reads the game better, and that makes up for his lack of athleticism. But I think going into a season with those 4 centre-backs, it changes everything. And this is what I've banged on about for years. An overhaul, quick, is a necessity, because you keep on bringing in players into a team that's tarnished internally, a team that the dressing room atmosphere isn't one made of winning, then you tarnish those players coming in potentially too. But now we have a squad where most of those players that were part of our decline are out. There's a few more to go, but players are now coming into a different environment. I don't know whether this is a winning or gonna be a winning environment, but it's definitely different to what caused Arsenal's decline, I think.
Yeah. And talking of that as well, on my way into the studio, I happened to be looking at my phone and I saw where Varane is injured and he might be out for a few weeks, and United fans are crapping themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now imagine if they had somebody to bring in at Varane's or near Varane's level. It wouldn't be such a big miss, would it, for them? So that's what I'm saying, man, competition for places. And I would just add on that as well, is that problem is one for the manager. It's not so much for us fans, is it? No. That's Mikel Arteta's job. He's thinking to himself, Tierney's back, and so who do I go with? That's a nice problem for him to have.
Yeah, it should be a nice problem to have.
Exactly, and that's why he gets paid all that money to make those decisions, man. And in that regard, I don't envy him, but hey, it's a better problem for him to have than not have that issue there. Innit?
Then be back in January where we've only got
worrying if Tierney's out, then we're screwed.
Because look what happened in the Europa League semi-final. Was it Tierney that picked up an injury and Xhaka had to play left back?
Yeah, it was.
And that was massive. You know, but it is what it is. We can't
big up Granit Xhaka.
Let's not get into that, Laurie. If there's one thing we disagree on, that's the name right there.
No, but even there, Granit Xhaka, that's a good. No, but you know what? Granit Xhaka's been out. Yeah. Sambi's come in.
Yep.
And he had a couple of missteps. But more recently, he's looked good.
Yeah, which is going to be another decision.
So when Granit does come back, hopefully the manager's presented with that as a problem. Do I bring Granit back in? Or do I say to Sambi, listen, man, you're doing a great job, you carry on?
Yeah.
And that's, like I said, that is one of the key principles of management. Knowing how to keep the squads happy.
I know why. But in the end, Rory, like come January, Partey goes and Nene goes. So to be honest, when Xhaka comes back in, it's probably going to be Xhaka Lokonga.
Could well be.
Depending on how far Ghana and Egypt go in. Ainsley's another one.
Ainsley gets a look in. I rate Ainsley. I'm sure you do too as well. You don't rate Ainsley, no? I rate Ainsley, man.
Ainsley, good player. But his time at Arsenal, I feel like should have been cut a couple of years back. I feel like he hasn't blossomed into the player we all thought, and that's right. A lot of that is on us. It's on Wenger, and it's on the managers that have played him here, there, and everywhere coming through. But essentially, he also hasn't grasped the position to make his own, and I think he won't be moving on to a bigger club than Arsenal or a better club than Arsenal. So. Yeah, it's a difficult one. I've got no hard feelings against Ainsley, and I think he's a good player, but I just feel like he hasn't found his place.
You know what, with Ainsley, right? I'm going to say this. I really like the player. I think he's got a lot of natural gifts. However, I think with Ainsley, there's two things that's kind of let him down. The first thing is that he can be a bit inconsistent. His concentration levels, this is my belief, his concentration levels are not always what they should be.
Yeah.
Secondly, he's been in the press a lot talking about he wants to play in midfield. He's been played in other positions and he's played well. I mean, listen, let's not forget, man, a year or so ago, he was in England squads and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But that debate that he has at times led about where he wants to play and blah. I know he's kind of stepped back from that more in recent months, but there's that common belief that he only wanted to play if he could play midfield. I think that has kind of held him back a little as well.
Yeah, and someone said Ainsley's a good backup, and I'd agree
he's
with
a good
that.
backup. You need your squad players.
Yeah, and we've got a couple of super chats from Mark. One says Turkish and Laurie, big up, love for that, Mark. How many players?
Oh my God!
Oh, sorry.
They don't know that me and you go way back, bro.
Yeah, come on, man.
Yeah, we go way back.
Know,
you know what I mean? There may be an age difference.
Maybe an inside AFTV one day. We'll get into it.
We'll tell him about it. We'll tell him about it.
A big up, Mark. He says, he's got a couple of questions. How many players do you feel we are away to be a real contender in the league?
Wow, that's a good question, man. Listen, we definitely need someone to ably assist Aubameyang up front, because one of the problems we've had in recent years is that we're over-reliant. Again, here we go again, you see, over-reliant on one man to score the goals. Now listen, I rate Laka, but if I'm going to be hypercritical, he doesn't get enough goals for me. You know what I mean? I love him as a player, I love his attitude, love the guy, but if I'm going to be critical of him, he needs to score more goals. The problem he has, though, is that the way we play, and I know we've been playing 4-4-2 or sort of variation of it recently, is that because the manager's not accommodating him, he hasn't played as many games as he should. So when he comes into the team, he's not as sharp as he should be.
Look at Martinelli the other day. Martinelli was not sharp at all.
Exactly.
And most of his performance was based off of, and the critique of that performance was based off of his lack of sharpness, which is quite unfair.
It's unfair. It's unfair. And then the thing is, the other thing I've noticed with guys like Martinelli and Lacazette also, is that when they've come into the team, sometimes they may feel that they have to justify their position. So sometimes they're trying too hard. You can see it to score. Or the decision making might not be great where they could pass the ball. They're trying to shoot themselves and stuff like that. Although Lacazette less so than Martinelli.
Martinelli, sorry.
The other day when Martinelli played, I definitely felt that about his performance. No disrespect to him, he was trying to make an impact, but there were certain decision makings that he did in that game that I thought, actually, really, if you'd have passed that ball, then that would have been better for the team rather than you trying to have a shot.
And once they build up as well, there comes a
But
trait.
I can understand you being more direct because you're keen to have the impact.
Eager. Well, my opinion of that question is so hard to say how much to contend for the league, because when you have Chelsea, Man City, Liverpool and Man United in your league, they every summer, more often than not, they'll do things that put them as a firm candidate for the title. So let's say to answer Mark's question, I'd say if we get a striker and a centre midfielder this summer and bring back William Saliba, I would say we should be going for top 4. But then again, if Man United go spend another 150 or bring in another manager, if Chelsea don't win the league this season, Roman's going to do everything to win it next. If Man City don't win it, Mansour's going to do everything to win it next. Liverpool, it's a bit different because their ownership's quite, up for debate as well. So it's so hard to say when we can contend for the league. But I think add a striker, add a centre midfielder, bring back Saliba, and hopefully build on this 7-game form, because it is only 7 games so far. I know we're all kind of happy in the moment and we're all seeing progress.
Everyone's gassed.
But it's 7 games and, things can change quickly.
I would say, to go back to your original question, if you're going to build title-winning teams and great teams, you build from the back. Now, if we take our team from the back, we got a great goalkeeper in Leno, and Ramsdale's come in and he's been outstanding. You definitely can't drop Ramsdale right now. You know what I mean? So the goalkeeping situation is tied up. Even at the back, I'm happy with what we got at the back so far. I wouldn't say it's the best in the league, but it's definitely very functional. It's looking good. And that partnership between Ben White and Gabriel looks really hot at the moment. Like you said, if we get Saliba back, then, defensive midfield, I think we're cool with that as well. I agree with you, though, a central midfielder is something that we could definitely look at. And up front, we need someone else to
refresh the front line now. Obviously, Eddie and Laka in their last.
But I must say, though, I'm encouraged that now the manager is starting to play like a 4-4-2 or variations of a 4-4-2. He must have been listening to the Talk is Cheap show. Because, no, seriously, me and Curtis, shout out to Curtis. We've been saying this from time. We need to be playing both of them on the same pitch. Aubameyang and Laka. Man say, you can't play them. Of course you can. You know what I mean? Of course you can play them together.
You can, but they have never hit the heights, I think, that we would have expected. Their off the form relationship seems to be a lot stronger than their on the pitch relationship.
But let me ask you this. From what you've seen of them this season, are Arsenal a better team with those two in the team 100%, or not?
Our last two performances are the best performances. And this is coming from me who, going into that Villa game, I was questioning Arteta putting in Laka, not because Laka didn't deserve it, but because this is a crucial year for Arteta, his plans and the project. And I think if you go in with Oba as, there's still a spine in football, and the spine's integral. And if you're going in with Oba and 7 games in, you're putting in the striker that hasn't signed the contract, is on the way out, and then you've pushed the striker you've gone with at the tip of the spine to the left, tells me that it's still, well, we all know it's still very much work in motion. But is it not going pear-shaped because our performances has picked up, but is it on the right path that Arteta wants it to be? Because he's picked to go with Oba, and now he's been not forced into picking Laka, but Laka's performance off the bench against Palace kind of determined him starting against Villa. So,
well, a lot of fans were calling it for it to be fair, and it's happened, and we're looking much better. Yeah,
Mark, another question says, I read earlier that Arsenal are looking at Andrea Belotti in January. Do you rate him as a striker? You like Belotti?
Oh, yeah, he's a good player, but would he enhance our team? Is he prolific goal scorer? I'm not so sure about that, is he?
Nah, I don't think he's prolific. I think, what age is he? Isn't he like 27, 28 years of age? Listen, our striker situation is look, we're losing Laka and Eddie. I think we've all come to tell losing, seeing the
I think we may lose Laka. I'm not sure about Eddie. I think Eddie, the manager has said, hasn't he, he wants to keep Eddie.
The manager said,
I think Eddie, you see, the thing is, and I think them man down the road have found this as well.
Yeah.
Right? With Harry Kane. Trying to bring in somebody alongside Harry Kane is very difficult.
Yeah.
And it's the same with Aubameyang. Because basically what you're saying to that guy is, listen, we got our main striker. He's going to play the majority of the games. You're not going to start many games. If you're a top flight striker, or a top player like Belotti, Italian international, you may see that and think, well, why would I go to Arsenal, right, who are not guaranteed, Champions League football, and they're not guaranteed to win the Premiership and stuff like that, and I'm going to come there and sit on the bench when I could be at another team playing first team football. It's very difficult, isn't it?
It is.
So how are you going to attract top strikers to come to the club under those conditions? Now, no disrespects to Eddie, it's far easier to sell him that, isn't it? Than it would be someone like Belotti. Because Eddie's a young guy, he's making his way, he loves the club, he's been at the club. It's going to be a lot easier for the manager to say to him, listen, just in future you'll be more in my plans, but at the moment this is how we're going. Eddie's more liable to accept
it and
that.
time on his hands and whatnot, whereas otherwise, but like, even Lacazette we're talking about,
Lacazette's thinking, because don't forget, when Lacazette came to Arsenal, man, he was in the French squad. Over the years he's not been in the French squad that much, and now he's pretty much out of it completely, isn't he? He's down the pecking order, and he will, if you speak to him, he's going to say, well, that's probably as a result of me not playing enough games for Arsenal.
Probably, and they'll put it
it's a difficult one, man.
Put it down to that. Brio here says, all I want this season is for Oba and Laka to do the handshake celebration. Match day, Oba in, Laka in. I'm just a fan from South Africa.
But you know what? That is, although, he said that in jest, that is actually a reasonable point, because you've only got to see those two play together to see that there's some real chemistry between them guys.
There is, but like I said, I've seen more chemistry off the pitch than on, and I'm not interested in off the pitch stuff. I've never had.
You're harsh, bro.
Nah, I don't think that's harsh. I think that's. I think that's.
But do you not think that sometimes when you've got that chemistry between two guys, it's almost like Lacazette he doesn't have to be scoring every game and get the headlines. He's quite happy for Aubameyang as long as the team's winning. So he's a team man. Whereas another guy might walk in and think, well, listen, man, I want to be playing every week. I want that glory. I want to score the goals.
I'll give him that.
You know what I mean?
I'll give him that.
So
another Super J saying, hey, Turkish, doubt you remember, but a couple months ago I asked you if you would have swapped the summer signings for Conte. I do remember that. I had that question a couple times. I'm wondering if your opinion has changed.
What do you mean swap the summer, like?
As in, my belief was at the beginning of the summer, this ownership would have shown more ambition putting in Antonio Conte, and I even argued that at the end of the summer I would have much preferred us to put in Antonio Conte than the players we brought in.
If you did say that, I wouldn't argue with that.
And you know what, obviously I'm going to stick to my guns and say I still agree with it, but obviously it's a different climate at Arsenal now. 7 games in the league that we haven't lost, and good performances, so I know why that question's being posed now, but I still feel like long term, there's more promise and more optimism about an Antonio Conte.
So basically what you're saying is the manager is the most important appointment that any club is going to make.
Yeah, modern day football.
And definitely. I would never disagree with that. Never.
Yeah. Even to now, even after the form and whatnot.
Because if you look at the top teams there, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Chelsea, Tuchel. Yeah. Liverpool, Klopp. City, Pep. those are 3 elite managers there, man.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
I agree.
And, you know, you get that appointment right. That's what a team like Newcastle will be looking to do with all their largesse. Yeah. The crucial appointment for me is the manager and the structure that he's able to implement at that club. Once you've got that right, that's when you can start going after the type of players that you want. Because let's face it, in most teams, right, that team is a reflection of the manager, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've only got to look at teams like Chelsea, Liverpool and City to see that.
Even Atletico, Simeone.
That's Chelsea, that kind of ruthless German efficiency. Klopp, again, that efficiency.
The rock and roll type of...
with the rock and roll type ethos. And then you've got City, the way they play slick and, you know what I mean, and all the rest of it. It's kind of... You look at the managers, those 3 managers, and you could see that character in the teams that that they put out on the pitch.
And I think that's what Conte brings, and I think that's what Simeone brings. I
exactly.
think, you know,
passion.
There's an elite level of managers there.
Yeah. So what you said there was right.
Yeah.
I would never disagree with that at all.
And although, you know, Conte has signed for Tottenham, you know, Tottenham's a different entity. I think he's taken a massive risk. I just hope...
That's why I knew the Nuno thing weren't going to work at Tottenham.
Yeah. Well, to be honest...
Nuno is a good manager, you know, but I just looked at him and I looked at Tottenham and I thought that's not going to work. Most people did. Even like friends of mine who support Tottenham, they said to me, Nuno's a decent manager, but I'm not sure whether it's going to work. And ultimately it didn't work.
It's never the thing about all of this, like what's going to work for Tottenham or what do Tottenham need to do. I still can't get my hand around it because they've never been there to be angry about not being there again. Or do you know what I mean? Like I mentioned before, there's Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, and Man United in this league. Bar Liverpool, you got those 3 spending 100 mil every summer minimum. If they need to, is 200 mil. So I feel like, you know,
even United, right? Sorry to interrupt you. Even United, you look at Ollie. And I can see, when I see United play, you know what I mean? They look like an Ollie team to me. 1 minute they're going to be good, next minute they're going to be not so good.
Yeah.
On any given day they'll be outstanding. And I just look at Ollie, the way he is, and I kind of see reflections of that in his team.
No, I agree.
You know what I mean? He doesn't have that attention to detail that the likes of Tuchel and Pep and Klopp would have.
Yeah.
You know, because he's not that good a manager. It's been proven. Yeah, exactly. And you see that with the way they play.
Yeah, even, 3 years in now?
Yeah.
And that's more than enough time to kind of get an understanding or...
Absolutely, man. You know, let's keep it 100, bro. Like, if United had appointed a guy like Conte...
They'd be winning the league in 2 years.
They would have won at least one Premier League by now.
Yeah.
Maybe even the Champions League as well. With that level of talent that they're able to attract to that club. With the resources they have.
Do you think Tottenham will back Conte?
Yeah, they've got no choice. Yeah, and I don't think Conte would have taken that job unless he was given certain assurances, because I feel, personally, that's why he never took the Tottenham job the first time around.
They couldn't guarantee.
We've heard recently, yesterday and today, statements coming out of Unai Emery's camp saying that he never took the Newcastle job because he wasn't convinced of the vision of the club.
Yeah.
That's what top managers do, you know what I mean? Like, top managers are sought after, aren't they?
Yeah.
They don't interview for jobs anymore. Top managers, they interview you.
We want you, and they come to
so
you and
they
say,
know they're operating under the premise that you want me, you want me to manage your club, hypothetically. So when I turn up for my so-called interview, although it's not really an interview, I'm saying to you, okay, so you want me, that's great. What are my targets? What have I got to work with? What's my budget? Where's my support staff? You know what I mean?
Yep.
At the end of that interview or discussion, talk, whatever it is, then I'll be thinking to myself, these men are serious, you know?
Yeah, it's your decision to make.
And I think that's why they didn't get Conte earlier.
I think they're going to give him the Kane money and hopefully he rebuilds something for them. But we'll obviously see, hope for the worst over there. I mean, it says Turkish, at the end of the season, you will say we made a good decision to stick with Mikel. Arteta is the best fit for us. I hope so. There's nothing more I want than Arteta to prove me wrong, Stan Kroenke to prove me wrong, which I think is impossible for him to do after 15 years. But Arteta and Edu right now, it looks very different to 7 weeks ago. and some of the comments they made with lack of targets or let the team, gel and get together. Fair enough. We've seen an improvement, but I think we're at a stage now when you're seeing Tottenham do that, when you're seeing Man United pretty much on the verge of, making that decision, whether it's halfway through the season, end of the season, Ole will be gone at some point. I think you've got to, believe, but at the same time demand as well. It's not wrong to demand. 100. It's not wrong to, trust the process and whatever these people want to feed us. But we can also demand. It's not just sit back and trust it and just watch it. You can trust it and still, say, what's this? What's going on there?
Absolutely,
and so on.
That's what fans should do. Challenge.
Yeah.
Ask those questions, man. I mean, listen, man, shout out to you because for as long as I can remember, you've always been one of those that the board thing has got to be right.
Yeah.
It has to be right. That relationship between the board and the manager has to be right so that the rest of the team can flourish, you know what I mean?
I agree.
If that's not right,
no direction off the pitch.
Exactly. It's unlikely it's going to work. And you, to be fair to you, you've been banging on about that from time.
And I don't think, in all honesty,
and you've been right.
I don't think we'll win the league under Kroenke. So we can talk about Arteta, Conte, Unai Emery and Arsene Wenger. I think understand Kroenke, we're not going in the league again. So
even a man like Julian, who's been on the channel and he's sort of tried to espouse the virtues of the Kroenkes, even he would have to admit that, they've been lacking, man. You know what I mean? And like I said, if that combination, that symbiotic relationship is not there between the manager and the board and the rest of the team, it's going to be very difficult to make it work.
Problems. You mentioned Unai Emery already turning Newcastle down. What were your thoughts about that generally? Do you think... have I talked to you about Unai Emery before?
Yeah, we've had discussions
off video, yeah.
You know what it is with Unai? Yeah, I think he's a good manager. I think he's proven that over the years. You've only got to see what he's done in Europe, acquiring that Europa League trophy. He's made that his, man. And then look what he done to us last season.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And let's be honest, man. Long before Arteta with this 8-game run, everyone's gassing and saying, "Rear." Remember that run that Unai Emery went on?
22.
Yeah,
22.
When all the fans were saying we got our Arsenal back.
Fulham away, Tottenham 4-2.
My thoughts on Emery is that he's a very good, pragmatic manager. I think one of the things that cost him at Arsenal was that he didn't have great communication skills, and I think that cost him. I think, especially when things ain't going your way, you need to be able to communicate to the fans and represent the club well. I think far too many times when things weren't going so well, and he would have his press conference and he seemed to be struggling to get his points across.
I agree.
Fans were looking at each other think, what is this guy talking about? And people went as far as to say, well, if he can't communicate his message in front of the camera, what do you think he's like in the dressing room?
Some people made a joke out of it.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And I think that kind of cost him. There's no doubt that this guy, he knows his thing, man. Tactically, he's a good manager. He's proven that over the years.
Yeah.
I just think at Arsenal, it probably wasn't a right fit.
I agree.
But that's not to say he's not a good man. And I would go as far as to say as well is that I'm actually quite glad that Newcastle didn't get him.
You know what, actually, I
think he would have done well there.
I've agreed with everything apart from he's not the right fit. I was actually impressed after Wenger that we went for Emery, because if you see under Wenger, 2 years out of Champions League, we've gone for a manager who, PSG got rid of him, but he won the league there. He done the bare minimum you expect to do at PSG. He came into us. He had 3 Europa Leagues under his belt. We was in the Europa League. First season, was it? Did he get to the final of his first season? First season final and 1 point off the top 4. I had this discussion with James. I think it was on Forever Arsenal. But I said it seemed like Emery was given what he was given and asked to work with it, whereas it seems like Arteta was very much involved in what he brings in with Edu. And I feel like Emery was probably the perfect fit for where we was, but we didn't handle it properly. We didn't, give him potentially more reign. We took it upon ourselves, and Raul done most of the work and so on, the people in Vinay's and whatnot. But with Arteta, then he got made manager, and that kind of showed me that, all right, you're given all the responsibility.
And let's be honest as well, he took over the job from Wenger. It was always going to be a hard act to follow.
Yeah.
And like I said, when things started to go awry, the way he presented himself and the way he communicated, or that lack of communication, was palpable, innit? It was evident. Yeah. I remember me, you, and the other guys at AFTV, we would get together on the Mondays after a games and be like, what was Emery really saying when he was talking about the game? You know what I mean? He was like, he wasn't really offering us a real vision forward thinking, you know what I mean? It was like, well, what is he really saying about that game? Was he pleased with the performance? Was he not? He seemed to be caught in two places a lot of the time. I think it got
to him. I think the pressure did get to him in the end.
It did.
The Premier League is, the media, especially, Jose's mentioned it before, even though Jose plays to it.
Man.
It's not a joke here with the media.
Serious thing.
Scrutiny.
Choppy waters, man.
Yeah.
Shark-infested waters, even.
Over here, 100%.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So
they're waiting to bite.
Yeah, man. So I felt a bit sorry for him when he got relieved of his job. Although it was the right thing to do.
Yeah, at that time it was.
Because the trajectory was going downhill.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to cap and say, I didn't want him to get sacked. I felt it was right. But having said that, I'm not saying he's not a good manager. He's proven that before and since.
And since, yeah.
So when he didn't go to Newcastle, I was like, you know what, I'll take that, bro. Because I almost envisioned, in fact, I think I said it to Cecil the other day, that him taking that job at Newcastle would have been extra motivation.
Yeah.
He probably would have thought, my number one target is to show them, man, down in London. That,
use it as motivation.
Yeah, because you saw what he did to us in the Europa League.
Yeah. And
tactically, he outsmarted Arteta all day.
He was happy with that.
Yeah, you could see that, bro.
You could see on the outside,
and to give him credit, he never really rubbed down noses in it, but you could see, man, that he had a certain I wouldn't say smugness. That was going too far. That would be going too far. But you could see that he enjoyed that moment.
There's an edge to it.
And why wouldn't he?
Of course, there's an edge to it. He didn't feel like he was treated right. And
so imagine that man in the Premier League now with that budget. He's thinking to himself, see them, man, there. I'm going to show them. You know what I mean? No Champions League football for them now.
Yeah. That's
you know what I mean?
Done. Done. Out. Someone here said Spanish media is the worst. Jose was never the same after Real. I don't know about that. Obviously, the pressure at Real was mad, though. That's when you're at Real Madrid and you're there to win Champions League and you're not winning it. And I think the English media is much worse. But listen,
I think if you're clubs like Barcelona and Real, there's a different level of scrutiny, isn't there?
Yeah.
You got to be winning leagues and Champions Leagues and cups and stuff like that.
Finals every year.
That's a no-brainer for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that goes with the territory. On
to something a bit more back home. Miguel Aziz, there's rumours he might be called back. I think he got 17 minutes last night off the back of those rumours.
I'm a little bit
He's
surprised.
not getting no game time at Portsmouth. So am I.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised how that's going, man.
I think all in all, if I read correctly earlier, about 50 minutes earlier in the season and 17 minutes last night means he's played about 70 minutes in total.
Yeah, I mean, presumably the reason for him going out to Portsmouth was for him to get game time, and he's not getting it. Now, if I'm Arsenal, I'll be contacting Portsmouth and saying, look, what's the problem, man?
Yeah, same thing happened with Eddie at Leeds a couple of seasons ago when we sent him
there.
I
remember that.
He played a couple games, but he wasn't used much and we brought him back.
Yeah, because let's face it, man, that's not really helping his development, is it?
No.
Because the idea of him going out there was to get game time. So
starting games,
you know what I mean? If you're not getting game time, then you might as well stay back at Arsenal.
Yeah, I agree.
And playing the under-23s or whatever it is, you know what I mean? So,
a good point here, he should go to a Bundesliga team. Yeah, that's a good point. That seems like good.
These guys need to be playing, man.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they're talented. They're very talented. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in the Arsenal academies and coming through the system. So they need to be playing. So if it's not working out at Portsmouth, Arsenal need to find out why. And if there's an issue there, resolve it. If not, pull out and get him back at Arsenal or get him at some next team where he can show his ability.
Start sorting it from now so it's ready as soon as you bring him back.
Absolutely.
Where are we? Miguel Aziz. Sol Campbell. He's come out recently. And Sol Campbell, obviously invincible, joining up with another invincible apparently in Patrick Vieira. Sol says that he wants to learn from some of the managers across Europe. He mentions Vieira as obviously a friend of his from the Arsenal glory days, and he says he's going to go and get some tips.
So hang on a minute. So what? He said he's going to go. Did Patrick Vieira invite him there?
I'm not sure about that.
Be known that he wants to go there?
I think he's letting it be known that he's going to be travelling amongst other clubs to get some experience, I guess.
And this is the man who once described himself on the radio, quote unquote, one of the greatest minds in football. That's what he said.
I remember he said that. That's what he might be trying to hone in on.
Yeah, no. I mean, listen, man. I don't know how to word this. I'm gonna have to be careful how I say this because I don't want to come across as disrespectful. But as a player, Sol Campbell was a legend, one of my favourite Arsenal players. especially in light of that controversial move that he made and the fact that he made it so successful. He's a legend of the club.
Yeah.
However, since he's retired, some of the things that I've heard him say, I have been left scratching my head a little bit.
Yeah.
And I wonder where his mental state is at times.
Do you think...
I don't know, like he's trying to transition into a manager and he's not quite handled it as well as he might.
Do you think part of that might be down to... Because obviously I know he's made comments about, black managers in football and English football and being underrepresented and whatnot. Do you think the struggle he's faced so far has played a part in that?
Could well be.
The failure to transition or make it a success?
Yeah. I think it's definitely fair to say that he struggled to make that transition. Why that is, it could be a whole host of reasons. But like I said, sometimes when he's said various things down the years, I've kind of been left scratching my head a little bit. So I'm going to leave it like that. I don't want to get into the realms of disrespect.
Do you think he still has potential to become a manager and be successful? Because it's obviously what he wants to do.
Yeah.
And I think going out to learn of coaches and whatnot, if it hasn't been successful for you so far, I guess is worthwhile an approach if you still want to go on to it. Do you think there's still an opportunity
I'm just
out there?
looking at that situation and I know for a fact that he's been interviewed for a number of jobs.
Yeah.
And he's not been successful in very many of those. I think he's had a couple of jobs and
he's most recently at Southend, I believe.
Yeah, and I don't know, man. I look at him and I think you kind of look at him and say, would you want him managing your club the way he comes over? And so far, I'd have to be honest and say no.
Yeah,
I
agree with that.
But hey, man,
we haven't seen enough there for him.
Yeah,
But like you said, at the
I need
beginning,
to see more. But you know what? If he's gonna humble himself, despite describing himself as one of the greatest minds in football, which I thought was a bit of a bizarre thing to say, even if you do think that, you need to go and prove that. You don't just go out and start telling people that on radio. But anyway, if he's going to humble himself and try and learn and, learn from the likes of Patrick Vieira and stuff like that, then listen, man, you have to give him credit for that. But we need to see that first.
It seems like a last roll of the dice for him, and
could well be.
He's a legend, and you will never forget.
But what I would
he's
say,
done
I wish
for
him
us,
all the best.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Wish him all the best, and hopefully he can make it work because it seems.
But
like
I think he needs to humble himself.
What he wants to do potentially. I do agree with that too. That pretty much wraps up the news for the day. But I do want to end with happy birthday to Mr. Ian Wright. It's his birthday today. Turns 58, I believe. Wow, so a big happy birthday to Arsenal legend.
58 going on 28.
Come on, a big
big up Ian Wright, man. Listen, man, he was one of the heroes of myself, you, so many people. You know what it is as well? So many black people, younger black people, and this is sort of, we just recently had Black History Month. I've said that the reason why they supported Arsenal was because of Ian Wright.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Yeah,
a lot of people.
Yeah, so for that alone, you know what I mean. And he's not just black hero. He's a hero amongst all Arsenal fans. Yeah, but I'm just relating to you.
Yeah,
my experience in the black community.
I've seen it.
So many, man. Yeah. Because you can meet Arsenal fans from all over the country. And you'll say to, I got family and friends up north, places like Manchester and Yorkshire and places like that. And you say, how comes you? Yeah, Ian Wright, man. When I was back in the day, when I used to see him scoring and doing the bogle dance and rare, you know what I mean? And his character and his effervescence and everything else. They supported Arsenal off the back of that.
Yep.
That's a real legend right
Until
there.
this day, he welcomes fans.
Even right now. I mean, I enjoy his punditry on Match of the Day, the way he, him and Shearer and all the rest of them interact on Match of the Day.
We need someone to stick up for us because we very rarely have that over the years. At least
but even taking away the Arsenal bias, just how he interacts on there. He's a great guy, man. And I've met him several times I've been fortunate enough to meet him several times. And he's a real cool guy. Yeah. And listen, man, nothing but the best for Ian Wright.
Big up Ian
Happy
Wright,
birthday.
Man. Happy birthday. And I know it's in the shadow of Ian Wright's birthday, but happy birthday to Dan Potts as well. It's Dan's birthday
Big up Dan,
today,
man.
so big up Dan.
You know what? I really enjoy listening to Dan in the fan cams and everything else. And he's been on shows, been on your shows and stuff like that. Trying to get him on the Talk is Cheap show, actually. Yeah, so big up, Dan. Enough respect.
Yeah, 100%. And on his fan cam on the weekend, he's also someone similar to me. We want to be proven wrong, and if we start thinking that things are going against maybe what we thought, we're happy to put our hands up and say, listen, this is what I want to see in order for us to change our opinion. So
yeah, because I saw his fan cam from the weekend's game, and he was saying, listen, man, Arteta might be starting to prove me wrong. Now, I respect that, because he's had a certain view about Arteta, and he's articulated his points, but it's not an entrenched view, is it? So in other words, what he's saying is, listen, man, if he proves me wrong, as long as the team benefit, I'm happy to say on record that I may have got it wrong. Yeah, because we'll see.
It fits our agenda, and our agenda is Arsenal getting back to where we should be. That's the only agenda. But people, this has been News Daily. Hope you guys have enjoyed. Laurie,
respect, man.
Love as always, man.
Pleasure.
Come on, people, hit the like button if you haven't already. Leave us your thoughts in the comment section below. We'll be back again tomorrow, so tune in then. And I see all the people saying welcome back to YouTube, because I said I'm going to come back to my channel soon. Look out for that too. Sometime this week I'll come and do a solo vid for you guys. Love for the love, people. We're out.